Evil twin. A few years back, when I was around 18 years old, my best friend Jesse at the time was dating and rooming with this guy named Corey. Corey had a twin brother named Tyler. They were both super nice, friendly guys. I would hang out over Jesse's house quite often because she didn't drive and had a baby to take care of. A lot of the time, I would babysit for her so she can work her two jobs. When Corey and Jesse started to date, Corey's twin brother needed a place to stay as well. There was enough room in the apartment for Tyler to stay at Jesse's apartment for a while until he was able to get back on his feet. So pretty much every time I was at Jesse's, the twins were there as well. Not too long after Tyler had arrived, Jesse made a joke stating how fun it would be for me to date Tyler since she was dating Corey. She thought it would be cool for the two best friends to date the twin brothers. At this time I had a boyfriend, and I wasn't interested in Tyler that way. I had just turned 18 and Tyler was 26 years old. I felt that he was too old for me at that point in time as well. I wasn't particularly happy with the boyfriend I had either, and Jesse knew that as well. I was trying to make it work though. One day, Tyler was taking a shower when I had arrived at Jesse's. Jesse and Corey were hungry and wanted to go grab some food for everyone. They left, and I stayed behind, just chilling in Jesse's bedroom. Tyler came in not too long after they left and sat on the bed with me. He was talking to me about random things. Then all of a sudden, he just blurts out that he has strong feelings for me and that he is in love with me. I barely knew him, but I told him I was sorry and that I had a boyfriend, which he already knew, but I felt I needed to remind him. He told me that he knows, but he wishes he had me instead, and that he would just have to learn to get over it. So from there I relaxed a bit about the situation. After all, you can't help who you are attracted to, and that's totally fine. A couple months later, I was talking to Jesse on the phone, and Tyler was there with Jesse. She was again joking about me and Tyler and I dating, and said he was too old for me anyways. It might be your thing, but not mine. I was trying to joke back with Jesse. I had to get off the phone though with Jesse after that point because I had other things to do. Not too long after we hung up, she called me back. When I answered, she said Tyler just scared the shit out of her. I asked her what happened. She said he got super angry at what I had said about him being too old for me, and he started flipping shit and stormed out of the house. She thought he was going to do some damage. I couldn't believe that he was being so overdramatic like that. I told her that he was being ridiculous, and he needs to get over it. It's just how I feel. He is a nice guy, but no thank you. I made that clear a while ago anyways. Jesse knew about that incident, of him telling me he had strong feelings for me anyways. She probably shouldn't have kept joking about it, but again, she felt she was being harmless. After this breakdown at Jesse's, he did end up apologizing to her and to me for acting that way. We forgave him and told him he needs to work on his anger issues or he's going to scare people away. He promised he would. A couple more months later, Tyler started texting about how he can make me happy and I should leave the guy I was with for him, that he would do everything for me and give me anything I wanted. I told him he needed to stop this because I had already told him I wasn't interested. He wouldn't stop though. He kept blowing up my phone with long paragraph messages about wanting me to be with him, the things he would buy me and do for me. He also was talking really bad about my boyfriend at the time. I was getting sick of him blowing up my phone after I was repeatedly nice to him about the situation and tried my best to let him down easy. So I went to my boyfriend about it. As soon as I showed him the text, I created a whole other wildfire. He lost his shit and got angry with me, as if it was my fault. He ended up punching a hole in his bedroom door and fighting with me the whole car ride. He said that I brought this upon myself because I didn't stop talking to Tyler. I was pretty upset that he was treating me that way, and then I had Tyler blowing up my phone as well. It was too much at once. So I blocked Tyler from messaging me and calling me. That didn't stop him though. He would make Facebooks and message me on there, super long paragraphs again. He started talking about marrying me and what ring would I like for him to buy. He wanted to get all these gifts too, and sometimes he would. He would get me gifts and have Jesse and Corey bring them to me when he was at work. I would constantly tell him to leave me alone, and he would say he would do that if that's what I wanted. I would tell him it was what I wanted, and he would leave me alone for maybe a day, sometimes even less. Then I would get another 5 paragraphs from him again. Every day this happened, and it happened pretty much all day. I had stopped responding, hoping he would stop then, but he didn't. He kept sending the paragraphs, and I honestly stopped reading them. I blocked him on Facebook, but he would just make another one and message me on it again. He kept up with that for a long time. I kept ignoring him, though. Then, one day was the last straw. I had tried my best to be patient with him and to not take it to the police, but this was it. Tyler had messaged me again on Facebook. He said that my silence had given him the impression that I was playing hard to get and that he likes that. He said that he understands just what I am doing now, so since I won't talk to him, he is going to come to my house and give me what I want. He said if I didn't answer him back right now, he was going to come over and do things to me that I can't even imagine, and then I would really want him. I didn't reply to those messages either, thinking he wasn't really going to drive to my house. He was just trying to get a response out of me, and it's not happening. It was a scary message though, nonetheless. I had taken a nap at some point that day. There was a knock on my door, but I didn't answer it. My mother wasn't home, so if it was her, she would have had the key and come in. I just ignored the knock and went back to sleep. Then I heard my mom come in and call my name. I got up, went to her, and she said that I had a letter from someone. It was shoved under her door. She handed it to me, and it was a letter from Tyler. He did show up at my house. In the letter, he wrote some pretty disgusting things to me. He said he was pissed that I didn't open the door and let him in, that he came all the way down here just to talk to me, and this is how I treat him, that I'm a bitch and selfish, etc. He said he was going to take me out to pick out a wedding ring, and now it's the last thing he ever wants to do. He said he hated me. He just went on and on in the letter, expressing his anger with me. I immediately showed my mother and printed out the conversations from the Facebook messages. My mother and I both went down to the police station and made a report and documentation. The police read and documented everything, but nothing super crazy had been done yet. I wonder what would have happened to me if I did open that door when he came to my house. I am so glad I didn't. It didn't end there. A couple of days later, my mom had just arrived home. She said she saw a car parked out the front of the house. The person in it was sleeping. It was a man. She ended up waking up and seeing my mom, and he booked it out, and she chased him down as far as she could, at least until she got his license plate information. We took it to the police to see if it was Tyler. It was. He was sleeping outside my house in his car, stalking me, waiting for me to come outside. It seemed I always just missed him, and it was luck. It was strange, but I was thankful. Once Dara was taken to the police, an official court date was being made. He was taken to court for everything, and I had to be there to watch. They never asked me to testify, but I was there to see what consequences one would get from this type of harassment. He got a slap on the wrist and was told to never talk to me again. He agreed with everything the judge said and went on his way. I was angry, and that was all he got. But he didn't rape me, abuse me, or murder me, so that's what was all he was able to get. I thought it was finally over. I still stay cautious of my surroundings, though. I always carried my keys in between my knuckles, and I had a taser as well. For a little while, I would have someone walk me to my car every time I left work at night, just in case Tyler was lurking somewhere. He was a strong bodybuilder type, so I knew I would never stand a chance against him. A few months go by, almost a year, and I get a comment on my separate business Facebook and follow page. It was Tyler. He was commenting super vulgar things on my page. One of the comments concerned my boobs. I immediately printed that out and went to the police. They couldn't believe he was back at it again, harassing me. I was so tired of this shit already. I felt like he would never go away. Again, we went to court, and this time, he was not allowed on social media for at least 3 years, and he wasn't allowed to have any contact with me, or anyone that is in contact with me. He also had to do community service, and he did get taken away in handcuffs. During the process of the second court meeting, he did admit to his lawyer, who told my lawyer that he was obsessed with me, and he didn't know why. My lawyer told me that. He said that I felt cold inside. I couldn't believe it to hear that actual word, obsessed. That's actually what it was too, and for him to stop saying it too, as if it's normal. Since that court date, I hadn't heard from him or Corey or any of his family. I haven't seen him either. I have moved twice since that has happened, and my Facebook is quite private. I'm 25 next month, and I'm constantly still having to worry that he will find me one day, that he will make a Facebook and try to harass me again. I am pregnant with my first child, and I don't need that stress along with that. I hope we never meet again, Tyler. Hospital priest impostor. So this is a little long, and for that I'm sorry. About 2 years after I finished college, I was diagnosed with cancer, an aggressive bone cancer called Ewing's sarcoma. I underwent 12 monthly week-long doses of chemotherapy, a month of radiation, and a 13-hour surgery to remove a big amount of bone. Sadly, about 14 months after I completed my first occurrence, spots were found in my lungs, which meant another surgery, and because I was at a cancer research hospital young, and the first set of chemo weakened my heart, I was put on very high doses of secondary chemo that didn't cause heart damage at experimentally high doses. At high doses, that chemo really diminished my immune system for several years and did a number on my kidneys. So a few years after I completed that chemo, I got an incredibly bad infection that turned into sepsis, and after having spent over 1,000 nights in a hospital, I flipped out a little and developed what's known as ICU psychosis. The incessant noise, beeping IV pumps, and steroid medications put a lot of stress and can drive you a little nuts until you get moved to a different floor or go home. So while I was in ICU, I was not myself. I'm normally really nice, easy to get along with, and only ever complained if there's something like really major, like I don't recognize these pills or I'm bleeding through this dressing. This time I was yelling, crying, argumentative. I was getting on my own nerves, and I couldn't do anything about it. So after I was moved to a regular floor, I was back to being myself, but I was really stressed out, and my family requested that a chaplain stop in to check on my mood while my husband was at work. The first day went fine. I was questioning why me a lot and depressed, but my demeanor was normal, so the chaplain stops by a few times and it's fine. On the third day, someone else was there. It's not uncommon that they have more than one chaplain, but this guy was either the worst chaplain in history or he was an impostor. He was wearing a purple hoodie and jeans and the same sport coat the other chaplain was wearing, not like a uniform. Like he took the guy's jacket, I had the usual chaplain's name tag on it. He introduced himself as the other chaplain's name, but because I'd only seen him a couple of days, I thought maybe I was just mixed up since I'd been so confused and argumentative and agitated just a week ago. I thought he's a seminary student because he looked 22 at the oldest. He sits down and started asking me really weird hypothetical questions like why no one celebrates Easter and the Holocaust, and do I think anyone really cares about other people, and whether I deserve my husband since I'm so difficult. I've been to the hospital dozens of times, and this was my first and only time I'd ever had anything but polite, and all the nurses all said, no apology necessary, when I finally realized I've been difficult, and that they knew I wasn't myself. So I say, I don't get what you're getting at, maybe you should just go. And I go to hit the nurse button because I'm a little freaked out. He grabs my arm before I can reach it and squeezed it, and he said, people like you act like you're good people, but really you just all pretend, and you're actually hateful, and you white credit card witch housewives show up here just for drugs. I was shocked, especially since he wasn't supposed to know what medication I take. And it's not unusual to be on pain medication after surgery, and I just broken my tailbone a few weeks prior. I was about to scream when suddenly he let me go, got up and left. When the nurse came in after, I told her that the chaplain that just came by was really, really inappropriate with me. She said she would talk to the person in charge, and said the chaplain that was supposed to be there had an emergency, and I didn't have anyone that fit my description of him. So I don't know if he was a random loony that grabbed a jacket off a chair or what, but it was super unnerving. So, fake hospital chaplain, let's not meet again. Stopped a huge creeper. This was a few years ago in my hometown. Had gone out drinking with friends at a local bar. It was having some sort of company party taking up nearly half the building, but it was quite large, so it wasn't much of an issue, although it was very, very busy. We all stepped outside for a cigarette when I saw a guy carrying a girl out of the bar. You could tell she was drunk, way too drunk. He sat there for a few minutes, trying to kiss her and touch her, saying he was going to take her home, and she kept saying no and pushing him away. Everyone outside was getting uncomfortable, but no one stepped in. He said he was going to get his stuff and take her to his house, even though she kept saying no. When he stepped inside, I stepped forward and asked her what was going on. I could see then that she had obviously a very broken and twisted ankle. She said she fell and that she couldn't walk. The guy offered to walk her to the bar, instead led her outside and away from her friends, and was planning on taking her home. She didn't have any of her stuff on her, and she was crying pretty hard from pain and fear. I was seething with anger at this time. I couldn't believe what was happening. My friends told me at this point to not get more involved, but I picked her back up and brought her inside, and sat her at the nearest table, where an older couple were watching a hockey game. I explained the whole situation and what I saw. At this point, I saw the guy coming in from outside, obviously confused, when he didn't find her laying on the sidewalk for him to take her home. The older man had apparently seen some of this from inside the bar, so when I pointed at the man that did it, the old man stood up and looked him dead in the eyes and said, "Oh, that piece of shit? Yeah, don't worry, he's not coming near her." The guy tried to confront us, but as soon as security noticed, he left in a hurry. After all settled down, and we explained to the bouncer what happened, the older couple took her to the Meta Center for her ankle, and texted me when they got there safe. I heard from the girl after, and she thanked me profusely. Apparently her friends hadn't even noticed she was gone that long. It disturbs you to think what this guy was thinking of doing, even with her obviously injured leg, and her saying she needed to get a doctor. He was just ignoring her, talking, and continued to try to do things with her. What's worse is that there was probably 30 to 40 people who wouldn't speak up.